All right, welcome back to Nerds Explain It All. I'm Zach.
I'm Lance.
And I'm Steven.
We'll just keep that in there.
Well, I haven't been on a show with Lance in so long.
You're not sure what the order is. Well, yes, the original three are back. We are here to talk about costume talk. Zack Snyder dropped a Twitter bomb on us. He released the first official picture of Jason Momoa as Aquaman. So that inspired us to discuss some costumes. We've had a lot of costume reveals coming out recently. The Daredevil costume just got on a magazine cover. Also, some set photos of the Fantastic Four have come out recently. So we can discuss a little bit of that. What are some of our favorite or least favorite costumes, in the history of superheroes? Because, we've getting a lot of live-action superhero costumes here in recent years especially. So lots of hits or misses, so lots to choose from there. And then finally, some breaking news. We try to keep these shows themed, but we did have some breaking news about Power Rangers, which was very exciting, and we'll save that to the end of the episode.
Okay, so let's get in with this Aquaman picture that was released. I dig it. I think it looks real cool. I love the tattoos kind of blends in with the Atlantean kind of armor thing that we had going on, like the Gillish type of thing. I like that. I just dig it. He looks like a badass. It's cool.
Yeah, it really fits into Zack Snyder's world.
Definitely.
I know a lot of people don't like that, but deal with it. I'm a big Zack Snyder fan. I like Watchmen. I know people hate it for some reason. I think it's awesome.
It's just an awesome movie.
Man of Steel, not as good as Watchmen, but it was fine for what it is.
At least Man of Steel was its own thing.
Correct.
Watchmen was scene for scene.
Well, Zack Snyder, he is he adapts things, right?
Yes.
Dawn of the Dead was a remake. 300 was an adaptation. Watchmen was a page by page, panel by panel adaptation.
He did Dawn of the Dead, the one with Ving Rhames?
I believe so. He did the remake. I think it was 2005.
Oh man, I love that.
I'm not sure.
Ving Rhames, man.
There's been so many of the Dead movies. I really forget who did what when and who was in that.
Yeah, but Ving Rhames. I like it. First of all, having Jason Momoa play Aquaman is going to make it really easy to get my wife to see any sort of movie with him in it. Because we're Game of Thrones people over here, and he's a freaking Khal Drogo.
Exactly.
Did you guys
badass?
Did you guys see Conan?
I did not.
No, I did not.
At least not that one.
I don't think anyone did, but anyway.
He's got the beard. He has a beard as Aquaman, right?
He looks exactly like Khal Drogo.
Yeah, except with and you know what? Freaking do it. He looked badass as Khal Drogo. He looks badass as Aquaman. Like, Aquaman has always been a joke among everybody. He's just, like once I got it was when The Brave and the Bold was out, and they were
Outrageous!
It's outrageous!
I loved Aquaman on that.
Aquaman
McDonald's
on that is actually really cool. He's funny.
I agree, but McDonald's had a line of toys, and Aquaman's thing, they were all motion toys. He literally threw a bubble. He could throw a bubble, and but this Aquaman looks like he can frickin' kick some ass, ride a whale and shit.
Well, yeah,
I'm excited.
Well, Jeff Johns' run in the New 52 and Aquaman was fantastic. Really did a 180 with the character. You took him seriously, and it forced you to take him seriously. And so he became, instead of a punchline and just the butt of everybody's joke, he became pretty a viable and legit hero. He was actually somebody that you would look forward to reading every single month. And another take on Jason Momoa's casting in this, I like it because I wasn't really down with Aquaman being like this pale blonde person that's spends all his time in the water. It makes sense that he's that he looks like somebody who's actually in the Pacific and the island from the islands, lives in
that makes
lives
a lot
down.
of sense. Yeah.
It makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah.
You did bring up.
Well, actually,
Jeff
on the
Johns'
bottom
run.
on the bottom of the ocean, you wouldn't get much sun.
That's true. It's pretty dark down there.
You know what I mean.
I did hear that his character is going to be related to Jason Momoa's character on Baywatch Hawaii. I don't know if that's that's good. There's any truth to that. I think that'd be great if they tied it all in.
Lance, you mentioned the Jeff Johns run on Aquaman. Now, let's not forget that he looked his traditional way in that run.
He did.
And I feel like that was kind of important because I love the look here. I love the Zack Snyder look. I know a lot of people aren't fans of it, but it fits into the universe we've established with the Man of Steel universe and what we've seen of Batman and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman. You can see this Aquaman interacting with those characters, so that's a win right there. But I will say, I think they're overcompensating a little bit because they made him look like the most badass guy in the world, and for the sake
you have to
no, you don't have to.
The public perception behind Aquaman is so because most people who are gonna have not read the Jeff Johns run, they don't know how cool Aquaman has become. They have no idea. So you have to make him look like a badass so people will want to see it. I get that.
It's not that he's never looked this way before. He looks very similar to the way he looked on Justice League Unlimited. Mm-hmm. And then I think the take on this character will be similar to that, more so than the Jeff Johns run, where he was kind of the traditional Aquaman. He lives in Boston. His dad was, worked in a lighthouse, and he's a conflicted king of Atlantis or citizen of America or whatever. This Aquaman, I think, is just much like in Justice League, is just going to have lived underwater and be the king of Atlantis, and that's the way it is. Okay. And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that.
That's fine also.
I just will say, I think they're overcompensating a little bit because for the same reason, I don't think Superman needs to be like a meathead or something. He can just be a slender, athletic guy like Christopher Reeve. Aquaman doesn't need to be some beast.
I disagree. I think that
he has a lot of time to work.
What they're trying to portray, I think,
of Atlantis.
What they're trying to portray, I think, is that that the Atlanteans are akin to the Amazons. They're this warrior race of people that they don't live above with us with all this other extra technology or the technology that we have, but they come from a warrior race. I think that's what they're kind of making them out to be. Maybe they're going to portray them as the Dothraki of the sea. Who knows? But I think that's a good move.
The Klingons of the ocean. Since the Dothraki are the Klingons of Game of Thrones, let's be real. But yeah. So no, I have no criticisms. I just can see how I can sense an insecurity there about the Aquaman character. Instead of much like they changed Superman, to make man, he's conflicted and edgy, man. It's no, he's Superman. He's good. Just let him be Superman. Same with Aquaman, but no, I get it. That's not gonna, the orange scale shirt and the green pants is not gonna fly. I really do like the tattoos, although I question how you get tattoos underwater. I like the tattoo scales. Let's not forget, this is through some kind of color filter for all these pictures. Once we see it in action, I think we'll see some gold.
There'll be some green hues there and stuff like that. There'll be hints to what to the Aquaman that we've known up until this point.
Mm-hmm. Now, you say see him in action. How much is going to be in this movie? I mean, in my view, you only see him at the end. Kind of like Howard the Duck, but
God,
it's sort of a mid-credit sequence, or maybe at the end, we have a new foe to face, or something like that. Because how much can he be in this movie? Why is this an announcement?
Well, that's true. The poster says unite the seven, and it's Aquaman. So you're like, oh yeah, the seven seas. I get it. But then
or it could be the seven members of the league.
Exactly, the Justice League. So it's this poster should have come out 2 years from now if it's going to be about you would think you would see this exact poster with all seven members of the Justice League. And to our knowledge, only 5 of them are appearing. It would be Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and we don't even know if he's going to be Cyborg yet. We just know that
Victor Stone is going to be in the movie.
is going to be in the movie. And then Aquaman. Now, Aquaman, to my point earlier, he's not going to have an identity or anything like that, a secret identity in this film. And I don't think Wonder Woman will either. And, I think that's good. I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe has shown us, just let Thor be Thor, right? He doesn't need to dress up as Donald Blake or whatever. And
I agree.
And Wonder Woman doesn't need to go be Diana Prince, and Aquaman doesn't need to be Arthur Curry, In these movies, because when you can't, when you don't have the serialized nature, long stories to tell of comic books or television shows, you don't have time for that. You got to get down to the business. Now, Superman and Batman, their secret identities are so ingrained in pop culture and who they are. It informs who they are. They have a good human supporting cast around them, and you need that to balance out their superhero-ness. But Aquaman and Wonder Woman, all of their supporting cast, so to speak, comes from their superhero identities. Like Aquaman has Ocean Master's his brother. Wonder Woman has Hippolyta is her mom, and then Zeus or whoever, all those Greek gods they might bring in, So stick with that. Stick with the iconography. We do not have time it's like the opposite of Smallville, right? Where it's like everything's secret identity.
Although I will say that Thor literally did go as Donald Blake in the movie.
For that fake ID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because,
Hey. He's wearing his clothes. What are you going to do?
That's right. It was Natalie Portman's ex-boyfriend or something. Who is this Donald? Yeah, I've never read a Thor comic in my life, but that whole setup seemed odd to me. Like he's like an old man, or he's like a normal guy. He's like Shazam, basically. He's like Captain Marvel more,
essentially.
So in Marvel, another Marvel ripping off DC. Thanks. But yeah, I'm excited about this document. But to your point, Steve, you're right. I think at best we'll see him at the end of the movie, and then it'll set up Justice League. I don't think it's going to be quite Howard the Duck, where it's like after the credits and it's like 2 minutes long.
I hope not.
That would be a waste. I mean, they've been promoting. I mean, they've shot promo pictures of him. They've been promoting him being in the film. He's got to have some role, but I don't think we're going to see him do his thing until Justice League.
Segue, Daredevil.
So Daredevil, what do you guys think of the Daredevil costume? Okay, before we get started on this one, what did you think of the old Ben Affleck Daredevil costume?
It's okay.
It was all right. I mean, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but it was serviceable for the movie.
I mean, I'm not a Daredevil fan by any stretch of the imagination. I really didn't know about it until I was like, hey, Ben Affleck's going to be in a new movie. It's going to be so cool. But from what I could tell, it was okay. Maybe a little dark, but
I liked how his eyes had the covers on him. That was real cool. That's the one thing that stuck out to me. I like the old costume. I mean, it's basically what you did in the late 90s and early 2000s. And there we have this costume. Okay. He was on Daredevil was on the cover of Film Inc., promoting the new TV show. It's coming out on Netflix in April, and it's now this is a proto Daredevil costume.
Well, it's the first thing that he wears. It's not like because he goes through several different incarnations of his costume.
He looks like a ninja.
Because in the origin story of Daredevil, if you read The Man Without Fear that Frank Miller did, this is his first costume. He wears this little ninja all black. He has white tennis shoes, and he has his billy club, and he has the little thing over his eyes. That's it. And then eventually, he gets to, you see the evolution, and he gets his red and yellow costume, and then he gets finally to the all red that we've come to know. Yeah.
Now, do you think that this is going to be his costume throughout this whole first season?
I think so.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't like it because it's stupid.
I like it because it's following the Man Without Fear. That's kind of what I'm expecting. I'm expecting that storyline broken up, over the course of the season. Because remember, Zach and I have talked about how if they did Batman on a like an HBO Batman show, how they could just use pre-existing material and just stretch that out over a season's time. I think that's what they're going to do with this Daredevil series, and I think so far for this first season, he's going to look like that's going to be his costume, and it's going to be the Man Without Fear. That's kind of what I'm thinking. That's what I'm calling at this point.
Well,
you may be right, but
go ahead, Steve.
You may be right, but the fact is, he looks like the Dread Pirate Robert's got his scarf put all over his eyes.
Yeah, well, as a fan of Daredevil, I think fans of Daredevil will probably agree with me. I think that they are for this costume being the first one that we see in this series.
Well, it's odd for them to promote this as this is Daredevil. If it wasn't, if it was just going to be his proto costume for the first 2 episodes.
Yeah,
they wouldn't promote it. When Spider-Man came out in 2002, they weren't showing you pictures of Peter in his hoodie, and his ski mask.
I understand. I understand that, but at the same time, for Daredevil, this is this costume it's a big deal because he wears it for a while. So I mean, it's not iconic, but it's important enough that they made the decision to use promo footage for it.
I'm looking at a picture from the comics of his early costume, and he looks pretty freaking badass in his comic. But Charlie Cox does not. I think it's just I don't like him as Daredevil because he looks skinny and like this picture I'm looking at, Daredevil looks buff and shit.
Yeah.
Charlie Cox, I mean, first of all, who is this guy? He was in Stardust, which I didn't even realize until like 2 months ago when I saw it for the first time. And it's just like, okay, that's an interesting choice, but
Well, so just because he's unknown doesn't mean he's not going to do good in the role.
no, it's true. But I don't know. He just
No, I follow you, Steve. I'm kind of in between you guys. Like, I understand Lance the whole like, hey, this is what he wore in the comics, and it's year one for Daredevil. And I understand you, Steve. It's like, hey, this looks like some. The Dread Pirate Roberts. It's the perfect analogy. So I think they're going to parse out the Daredevil story over several seasons. So we might not get a lecture in season one, and that's fine. I mean, the Kingpin's going to be there. We know that. He's played by Vincent D'Onofrio. Did I get it right? D'Onofrio?
Oh my god! Really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
It's like an Egger suit.
I didn't realize that was him until you told me like years later.
You know what? He'll never be anyone else but fucking Egger and the bug costume.
he has played Orson Welles.
Like this?
He has played Criminal Minds. Come on, he's a good actor. So
he wasn't in Criminal Minds. He was in
Criminal Intent. Excuse me, Law and Order, Criminal Intent. God, easy to get those shows confused. So yeah, Daredevil. I'm really excited. Now, seriously, guys, put it on your calendar. All right, April 11th when it comes out, we're gonna sit down. We're gonna watch all the episodes, and we're gonna do a podcast about it. It's going to be awesome.
Sounds good to me.
Very busy schedule.
Well, clear out that weekend.
Give me a couple months.
Yep. All right. Nancy and Lance and I will sit down and watch it, and you can listen to the podcast and not have to watch the show.
In 2016, after I finish the...
Look, I'm not even going to bother watching the other shows. All right, I'm only going to watch Daredevil. Okay?
I'm watching the other ones.
Jessica Jones talk on Nerds Explain It All.
And you thought we didn't have many views before.
Negative views? Can you do that?
So finally, we have, speaking of bad costumes, we have the Fantastic Four. We got some set photos from Empire magazine. Has published their latest issue. Has some Fantastic Four photos. The Fantastic Four the information is slowly trickling out, and we're like T-minus 6 months to it coming out in theaters. So you don't really see much of the Fantastic Four costumes.
No, it just looks like they're wearing just like black SWAT shit.
You have a picture of Ben Grimm holding a bike, and he's in a t-shirt. That's not it.
What is that picture? Like he didn't even know he was taking a picture. Like I just saw an exercise.
He's like, is this bike in the shot? Let me move it out of the way. They just took a picture. You see Mr. Fantastic. He looks like he's like in a government facility. But the two pictures you see where I think they're in costume, unfortunately, is Johnny Storm and Sue Storm. And you can tell, I think Sue Storm, I can definitely think she's in her quote-unquote costume here because she's in a hallway full of people who are passed out. Assumably she did that. Mm-hmm. And she's wearing her gloves. With her,
How would she do that?
With her force field. Because she can be invisible and has a force field.
Well, yeah, but I mean...
But, okay, so these costumes are all black, and they look like Tron Legacy suits without the neon.
Yep.
It looks like this movie came out in, 1999, right?
I was about to say 2000.
The Matrix craze, and they're like, oh, let's make it all like X-Men, right? The big criticism of the original X-Men. Oh, it's all black, What would you prefer, yellow spandex? I guess so.
Here's the problem, okay? One thing that I find, one of the few things I find interesting about the Fantastic Four is that, their costumes have to be very unique because you can't just wear any old thing and be the Human Torch. Mm-hmm. But you can I'm looking at the costume right now. It looks like it probably was built to withstand. They use Cisco Ramon. They use some sort of explanation like, oh yeah, we use polymers or some shit like that, whatever. But the costume that Sue is wearing doesn't look like it can go invisible. It has to go invisible, or people are still gonna be able to see her. Like I can see her shirt, lady. It's so that's, and then of course I think I agree with you, Zach, that he's not in costume. Ben Grimm. No.
We'll have a picture up during this part, but yeah, he's out
Mr.
on the baseball
Mr. Fantastic. I mean, because he has to stretch, so.
Well, you're right. Now that we're looking at the picture again, he may be in the damn costume. I can't really tell. That's how that's how generic these new Fantastic Four costumes are. Now, as bad as
I
those,
want to be the Fantastic Four. Got a black T-shirt.
yeah, that's the best Halloween costume ever. I'm Mr. Fantastic, man. Now, as bad as those original Fantastic Four movies were, at least the costumes were perfect. I mean, straight off the page. The four, they're blue. It was great. And then in the second one, where Johnny kind of sells out, he's like selling advertisement on his suit like a NASCAR guy. Oh man, what a terrible movie.
The whole point about the Fantastic Four is they're out in the open. They're not secretive. They don't need black costumes because they live in a tower that's a big four. I mean, they're not hidden, which I think is the plot of this movie. So I don't know.
They're really, and the term could never be used more appropriately. They're Nolanizing the Fantastic Four, and that's the last group of superheroes you need to do that to. Speaking of costumes, though, what are some of you guys' favorite? Like, what Lance? What is your favorite live action superhero costume we've seen thus far?
I don't know. There's been a lot of good ones, but one that like I really liked and I really dug the look of that comes to mind right now is Falcon from Winter Soldier.
Really?
Yeah, because if you look at Falcon, like the costume of Falcon, like in the comic books, I mean, he looks like one of the Village People with wings. So
hey, it was the 70s. Okay.
Yeah. So like you see what they give him in the movie. It's functional. It makes a whole lot of sense, and it just looks cool.
And the red lenses seals the deal, right?
that little highlight, that little attention to detail right there, a little homage back to the red in the original costume. It's a nice touch.
Okay. That's your favorite really live action superhero costume.
Well, I mean, I'm giving you an example of a good one. Because there's lots because there are lots of good ones.
Like your angle on that is it took something that was absurd and it made it very realistic and it worked well.
Yeah, so like I'm like it was something that I was impressed by.
Okay, all right. What about you, Steve?
Again, there's quite a few to choose from, but I like Iron Man.
Okay.
The first Iron Man, not like the one he builds in the cave, but I'm talking about like his suit in the Iron Man.
The Mark II armor, to be precise.
Yes, agreed. Although the fucking Hulk Buster is awesome, but I just like it. It looks like very functional and it has all these gadgets and shit on it. I don't really know how true it kept to the actual comic, but I think it looks badass. I think it looks real, except when you see his face and it just looks stupid. But
like when he takes the mask off.
Yeah, and you just see him talking like Rhodey, like, "Hey, bro, what's going on?" But it's green screen face.
It's the Spider-Man effect. It's the end of the Spider-Man movie. Let's rip Peter Parker's mask off.
Yeah, you gotta see the face.
Listen to me now.
Yes, a privilege.
Alfred Molina, best. That was a good one too. Alfred Molina as Doc Ock. That was a badass thing. Oh man, I love it.
Yeah, because it wasn't so much about the costume; it was about the arms, and the arms look perfect.
Yeah, and Alfred Molina is perfect. He's like whatever.
Well,
Zach, what about you? What's your favorite?
So for me,
what's your favorite Alfred Molina role?
Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, perfect.
Now you guys have mentioned ones that I think both of your suits are like adaptable. Like there can be different versions and it makes sense. So mine, probably of no surprise to you guys, is Christopher Reeve's Superman suit. The Superman.
It's a classic.
Now this is from page to screen. It looks exactly the same as it in the comic books. It's all Christopher Reeve. There's no padding. There's nothing like that. He's just out there in his spandex and his underwear, and he's proud of it. They're not trying to modernize it or make it quote unquote practical. It's an alien technology. That's the whole point. Of course, it's not going to look like it fits into this world, and that's what makes him stand out. That's what Superman Returns got wrong.
I agree with you.
Like the world of Superman Returns that Bryan Singer created, it's a very dark and muted world, right? And that would be fine if Superman himself was the colorful standout of that world. But instead, he's brown and he's muddy and has a fruit roll-up cape. Let me tell you a story. God, what was it? I
love that term.
Exactly. Fruit by the foot. On my 18th birthday, all right, they released the first promo picture of Brandon Routh as Superman. And I was like, what the hell is this? It was very disappointing. You know, he's got his 3D small little S on his chest. He's got his like micro briefs on. He's got a little S on his belt buckle, and he's got the fruit roll up cape. And he's got that terrible hair too. The hair's not part of the costume, but it's part of the look, right? And it was just like, why did you change that? You don't need to change. How do they make a suit in the 1970s that looks better when they're making it in the 2000s? You know, now they did improve like to that point with Cavill's suit. I liked Henry Cavill's suit enough, but still, I thought it was unnecessary. Like, oh, we're gonna give him fake muscles, you know, and oh look, now he's not wearing underwear, and he's now the cape is much better in Cavill's suit because it's flowing, and you know, but you look at the new Batman versus Superman stuff. It's like they do even more. They have that quote unquote chiseled look to the costume, and
well,
it's
that's
like,
just the industry standard now.
But you don't need to do that. Superman, and even in the comic books now, he's got like that Kryptonian armor. It's like he doesn't need armor. You know, his skin is impenetrable. He got shot in the eye in Superman Returns, for God's sake. So, so the Christopher Reeve Superman, you can't improve on perfection, and that's what it is. You know, it's just, I don't know. That is the gold standard, and it just proves itself to be my favorite when they keep trying to get away from it, and it just doesn't look right. You know, and so that remains my favorite.
It's functional too. I mean, he could take off that S and just
We don't speak of that. But that's my favorite. Now, what are some of our least favorites? I kind of dogged on Superman Returns. No, I don't think we did. I kind of dogged on Superman Returns a little there. That's not my least favorite. Lance, why don't you go ahead? And what's your least favorite?
Least favorite? I'm gonna go with the Matt Salinger Captain America, where he looks like a stunt Daredevil, like a dude like he's gonna run his motorcycle over like 50 cars or something.
Oh my god! You're talking about the old one where he has like a helmet. Oh my god, that doesn't even count.
I don't even think that should count.
You can't pick like a fake movie that they made.
It's not a fake movie, man.
I picked the Fantastic Four from the early '90s. Then,
well, yeah, that's legit enough. Those are bad costumes.
Man, you're right though. That costume is horrible.
That is probably by far the worst.
Now, Lance, I have to correct you. Now, that is actually not the Matt
Salinger
one. No, that is the one from 1990. With Ronnie Cox as the president.
Okay,
but I'm not sure who played him in that. and the one in the 70s. Now it's from the ones you're thinking of are from the 70s.
There, okay.
I'm looking it up as we speak on on IMDb. The first Captain America came out in 1979, and the sequel was called Captain America 2. Death Too Soon.
Yeah, no.
That's brilliant. That's a brilliant.
He gets unfrozen, right?
No, he's unfrozen in the first one. But Reb Brown was Captain America in those movies.
Well, that costume.
Death Too Soon. Anyway, yeah.
So bad.
Yeah, he's like on a motorcycle or some crap.
Yeah.
It's terrible. But yeah, I agree with Steve.
And his clear see-through shield.
That shouldn't even count, but fair enough.
It's a bad costume.
Lance is going strong with Captain America.
No, it's a good answer.
Yeah, no, you get credit for pulling that out. Well done. Oh, by the way, Captain America is rated 3.7 on IMDb. Captain America Death Too Soon, 3.9. So it looks like they improved a little bit in the sequel. Now, that's 3.7 and 3.9 out of 10. Just for the record.
Okay, no, I mean, I thought we were all going to say the same one. Lance had an inspired choice for sure, but mine has got to be Nipple Batman.
Which one?
Batman and Robin.
Yeah, see, the Forever suit's actually pretty damn good without the nipples.
Batman and Robin, when they have like the silver on it and shit.
Cold Gear Batman.
That was pretty bad.
It was so bad. And you know what? People always talk about the nipples, and you should because
it's garbage.
But he also has. I'm looking at a picture of him now. He's also got like the huge silver cod piece.
Yep.
And the molded butt. Like, how do you? In this universe, is Alfred supposed to be making these? Like, Alfred, I want you to mold this right to my ass.
Actually,
you can take
he is. It's established on screen. He's like, I took the liberty, sir. He's talking about Robin's costume.
That's right. So he molded that to Robin's ass.
Dustin very still, Master Dick.
But here's the thing. But he didn't know that he was making that costume. So Alfred snuck in the middle of the night, like took ass measurements so that it would fit perfectly. Because it's
that's not as
rubber.
creepy. That's not as creepy as him doing it to his niece.
It's true.
When she's like, "Oh, I anticipated you might need a costume, my dear." And it's terrible.
Yeah, but Alicia
Just the liberty
Silverstone.
of making something in your size.
I like.
Sit me up, Uncle Alfred. No, that's a bad costume.
I love you, Alicia Silverstone, but like, man.
Now, and I agree with you, Steve. That's a terrible costume. I will say I kind of like the Robin costume in that movie because it looks like Nightwing. That's the closest. That's the closest to live action Nightwing we've gotten so far. So,
Agreed.
So no, I did not pick Batman and Robin Batman. I picked Catwoman, Halle Berry's Catwoman.
Oh man, see, this is a good choice. I didn't even think about.
She is wearing a bra. She is literally just walking around wearing a bra and like a couple of bayonet-looking things on her stomach, and then these really long gloves, and then she has this goofy little cat mask and some leather pants, and I believe high heels too. I believe. What the hell? What the hell?
Those leather pants are cut to shreds too.
Yeah, that is the worst because there's so many versions of the Catwoman costume that are acceptable. You have your look at the '60s show. The '60s show was probably one of the best costumes they had.
There's a kid. Oh my lord!
I prefer Lee Merriweather myself, but the Batman Returns, with the crazy stitches, and in the comics, there's so many versions. There's like the purple one, and there's the goggles one that Jim Lee draws.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But they didn't do any of that. They basically took one of those. This is like the Jim Lee Catwoman if you took her jacket off. She's just run. I mean, how is that practical? To be running around in a bra. This is probably the most like male chauvinistic version of a costume that exists. So it's very insulting to the character, and it's just very impractical, and it looks bad. It doesn't even look sexy. It looks bad. I mean, Halle Berry could have been a great Catwoman, like in that year one vein of Catwoman.
Yes.
But the only reason I've even seen this movie, by the way, is because it was on an airplane once.
I can't remember the specifics, but I think that Michelle and I saw that in theaters. Like when we were first started. Like when did that come out?
2004. Because I remember the Batman anthology DVDs I got came with a free ticket to Catwoman, which I did not use.
And you know what? That's right, because we started dating in 2004. So this is like right when we started dating. I think it was like one of our first dates. I don't know, but yeah, we saw Catwoman, and it's like, wow, that was a waste of money and time and everything. And I haven't seen it since. It's been over 10 years. Yeah. And you know what? I'm okay with that decision. Now, here's an interesting question, and I don't know if we want to put this in the show or not, but because we haven't thought about it, but. What is the worst costume from our three worst costumes? We're all from horrible movies. Okay,
true.
But what's like a really good movie that has a really bad costume?
Oh, I can tell you one right now.
Okay,
Spider-Man, Green Goblin. He looks like the Power Rangers.
That's right. Which brings us to no. You're serious.
I thought about it the minute I said it. Like, oh damn, I wasted a segue.
Segue, Power Rangers.
But yeah, I mean, I love Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. But we've all seen those, and we've talked about it before. Those original tests of the Green Goblin mask, like having that rubber face and an animatronic, it's really creepy, And they're like, oh, well, that wouldn't make sense for him to put that mask on and take it off. Look, it's a comic book movie. Okay, deal with it. Anything's better than that goofy. It looks like the Rangers are about to come out and fight him. I hate the Power Ranger look for Green Goblin.
I think what really puts that one over the top in the bad way is the mask. I think the other parts of the costume.
The costume itself is fine. It's the mask. Yeah.
Especially when he's sitting there talking to it on the chair. That shit's hilarious.
Well, it's also kind of creepy too. I will say when he's like, "Tell me what to do." Yeah. But yeah, no. The actual green suit is fine, and that was the plan, to have the green suit and then that animatronic rubber mask looking thing, which looked really creepy with the eyes and the teeth and stuff. But yeah, they just seriously, they just went to Saban and bought a mask, and because the movie's so good and everything else is so good around it, it really stands out.
It does.
Yeah, really. I mean, usually when the movie's bad, the costumes it kind of goes hand in hand, So I'm trying to think. I mean, well, no, I was gonna say Superman 4 is a terrible movie, so never mind.
Yeah,
I was gonna say Nuclear Man. Well, I was thinking of Christopher Reeve,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Segue.
So speaking of Power Rangers, Lance, take it away.
All right. So this Power Ranger fan film, just blows up like wildfire.
12 million views in 2 days.
I mean, it's I'm at a loss for how good this is and how cool it is and how good it makes me feel that I saw this thing. Because I mean, I'm the Power Ranger guy of the group, and it's really hard to explain because like a lot of people that either don't get it or don't watch it, or people that question why I watch it, like they're just like, what the hell are you doing? But like the views alone kind of show you the power of the brand of Power Rangers, and also like what people I guess have been wanting / missing.
This is exactly what I wanted for Power Rangers.
It's awesome.
I am one of those people, Lance, who like, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, oh my god, this, like you said, this will change your life.
I mean,
this is amazing.
I don't know.
It's awesome.
Back in the day when like the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was on, like the original one, I was totally into it. I went as Jason for Halloween. Me and my friend both went as Jason. Like, we both went as the Red Ranger, and so we were two Rangers. And you know what? It was the coolest. But and I think there's a lot of people that are our age that grew up with the internet. So we're all around the same age. Early 30s, late 20s, and yeah, this is like. Of course it blew up because it's like, oh my god, this is Nolanizing, as Zach said earlier, but in a good way.
Well, yeah, because it's like it's something that like that we grew up with, that grew up with us too at the same time.
Well,
and so I mean, so like Zach, you take it away with like the producers like aspect, because I think that's the key in this.
Yeah. So the director is Joseph Kahn, and then the producer is Adi Shankar. Now these guys have been behind some other fan films, like for example, The Punisher, Dirty Laundry, which is it's about 10 minutes long, and it reunited Thomas Jane with the character who had played the Punisher in the first, well, I guess the second Punisher movie, because and let's not forget Dolph Lundgren played him first. Yep. So they take the absurdities of the concept and they're like, okay, what if this was real? Like okay, so let's think about this. Like, these teenagers get recruited by...
drafted into a war.
an intergalactic war that they had nothing to do with, and fight monsters on a regular basis, Like, that's going to screw you up, And then not to mention Tommy, who was created to be evil, and then he turned good, and he lost his powers, and he got him back, and he's been through so many kind of iterations. Like this is some seriously messed up stuff. And I love what they did with Bulk and Skull.
Yeah, dude, they're first of all, like I'm a Raider fan, and they're rocking Raider gear. I was like, this is exactly. Awesome. Oh my god.
So anyway, just the whole idea behind this is like, look, let's take this to the extreme that it should be taken to. Like, let's address the absurdities and confront them head on, And so basically, what this film is, it is the future. It's and that's what's great. Like you guys said, like it's if Power Rangers grew up with us, and now we're looking back and like all that stuff happened, but now we're like the real world consequences of what would happen 20 years later. It takes place in the future, and most of the Power Rangers are dead. And it's like if Watchmen met the Power Rangers, basically what this is, and this is brilliant.
Absolutely,
like I would love to see a movie, a TV show, anything like a Netflix mini series. Like if they made it like this, it would blow people away.
Like I don't know what they need to keep doing this shit. Like do more of these, like these little short things, because as the person here on this podcast that has seen, has actually watched the show, like I could, like, there's so many like different avenues you can go with this because of all the stuff that they dropped in this thing. Because because they mentioned like the Machine Empire, which ties into like this. I mean, it's so like there's so many things that you could go.
Let me stop you there, Lance. So I understood. I think Steve and I probably understood most of it, but there were some things I was like, what happened here? So what is the Machine Empire? What is that?
Okay, so the Machine Empire comes, like, they land on the moon and kick Rita and Zed out of their base, so they have to leave. So the Machine Empire, they come in and take over, and they're the bad guy for Power Rangers.
So that's the setup for this short film. Like they've taken over. It's like a mix. I don't know mix between Watchmen and Days of Future Past. And so we'll just talk through it here. So basically, what we're led to believe is Kimberly has been kidnapped by the second Red Ranger. Who has turned on the Ranger, which I think was a great concept. Those replacement Rangers not being real Rangers and stuff.
Yeah, and the other thing is also another nice touch that Power Rangers fans would get. Like, I love that he had prosthetics.
Why does he have a fake leg?
Because in the Power Rangers Turbo movie, which is the second one, which is awful.
Never saw that one.
Well, yeah, because Rocky, because he's the Red Ranger during for the last half of the first three seasons.
Yeah, because I remember the red one, the Black one
Ranger and Yellow Ranger.
And, yeah, they all left.
Because they left the show,
Yeah.
and so then they were replaced. Jason,
because they want to get paid more than $50 a week.
Yeah, it was a contract dispute. So Jason, Zach and Trini left the show, and so then we got Rocky, Adam, and Aisha. So Rocky was Red Ranger, and then in Zeo he became the Blue Ranger. And then after Zeo is when they switched to Turbo. But before they did that, they had the Turbo movie, and he got injured at this thing in the Turbo movie, and he had to retire from being a Ranger. So it was cool that like they kind of like that's kind of a carryover. It was like, oh. He shit just got worse for him, and there you go.
So we open up and he's interrogating Kimberly, and he's like, "Where's Tommy Oliver?" It's great because Tommy Oliver, he is the Ranger to end all Rangers.
Yes,
the Green Ranger, Jason David Frank. Now these are all recast, by the way. None of the original characters are in this. So they actually asked Jason David Frank to be in it, and he declined. Now
we'll get to that.
We'll get to that at the end.
We'll get to that later.
So basically, it's starring Katie Sackhoff as the Pink Ranger, and then. James Vanderbeek.
My man, James Vanderbeek. Like
this is like the best thing I've ever seen.
I know. That's also like the best thing I've ever seen him act.
Right. Well, and he was a co-writer on this too.
Yeah.
And so he's Rocky, the bad Red Ranger, and he's interrogating her about the Rangers, and they're kind of going down the list. Like, let's talk about Jason. Let's talk about Zach. Let's talk about so. So it turns out, Jason died. Like Kimberly and Jason got married, and then on the wedding day he got murdered because Bulk and Skull turned him in because they're like, we got tired of you guys making fun of us. I was like, it's fucking brilliant. Like that's so true. If these guys are actual bad guys, I would love if they're like, no more fun and games and goofing around. Like then turn their ass into the government, because they had quote better meth unquote is what they say. So that's what happened to Bulk and Skull, and then they OD allegedly, and they die.
Yes.
And then Zach becomes the Taibo guy. Basically,
yeah, because that's another callback to the show because like Zach, his character developed his own style of martial arts, hip hop keto. Mm-hmm. That's again the racism of Power Rangers at work there. But like,
oh my lord!
But then then he's doing blow and he's like with these women. And he's just like a complete adrenaline junkie.
Yeah,
I will say that the Black Ranger scenes I thought were freaking awesome.
Yeah,
like he actually goes and he fights those guys and he throws the helmet at
North Korea or something.
Time.
Yeah. And that's the one scene you really get to see the Power Rangers in action, like in uniform, is Zach doing his thing. It opens up with a very brief, like snippets of like a final battle. You see some Megazords fighting, and it's so awesome. But that's it. That's like 30 seconds, and then everything else is in this post-apocalyptic future. So you get to see Zach doing his thing, and then Zach gets murdered, and then it turns out Billy. It looks like he got murdered in like his office, and he was
he becomes like a CEO of this weapons company, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm. He's a genius inventor,
Mm-hmm.
And then
also interesting is that he is gay,
just like in real life.
Yeah.
But that's interesting. I mean, I just thought that was a nice touch, and they didn't really focus on it much, but it was.
Art imitating life, much like they have Trina was dead. Trini was dead. So.
Trina, what the hell's wrong with you?
Look, man, look.
She's not a hurricane, Zach.
Hurricane.
She's a Yellow Ranger, bitch.
Anyway, they go to her funeral, because she died in real life. So it's like tying all this stuff together is so good. And then Tommy's just like he's a drifter. He's living off the grid, and he's like John Connor in Terminator 3, right? What a terrible analogy to draw. But he, he's living off the grid. They can't find him, So they're going through all these characters, and finally it's revealed that they captured Kimberly as bait to get Tommy because, he always had a thing for you. So sure enough, Tommy shows up, and the Red Ranger, Rocky, he is blaming Tommy for killing all these people.
Yes.
And Kimberly's like, that's bullshit, you were never a Ranger, you never understand, and all this is good because you're like, yeah, this all makes sense,
Well, yeah, especially because when Rocky joined, he was the Red Ranger, and Red Ranger is typically the leader. But when he joined at that point in the show, Tommy was the leader.
And she's like, "You were never one of us." And he says, "Thank you." So anyway, Tommy shows up. He kicks ass. He gets in a fight with evil Red Ranger Rocky. He's about to die because Rocky's using his prosthetic leg to kind of pin him down. Mm-hmm. And then Kimberly gets free, kills Rocky. And he's like, "Who are you?" She's like, "Well, I'm Kimberly." He's like, "No, Kimberly died in my arms. Who are you?" And it turns out she's Rita in disguise.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Don't you remember me?" And he's like, "Rita." And he like goes to attack her, and it cuts to black, and that's the end.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit! Like, what a mind fuck that was.
It was so awesome, man. Like,
so that was amazing.
That's the most
twist.
threatening Rita has ever been. Like,
that was an amazing twist. Now, but let's step back through it though. The story made so much sense when it really was Kimberly, right?
It did.
You know what I mean? Like she's like you, like all the back and forth between her and Rocky. Like you don't know what it means to be a Ranger and all that. So so it's like, are we to assume that Rita like took her identity
Yeah.
Or then what? And like no one, Tommy didn't tell anybody, or what? Like I don't understand.
I don't know. Or Tommy has his suspicions because you look at like like when you see him in that when Kimberly is talking, quote unquote, and he's at the funeral and Tommy's just kind of in the background. He's just kind of looking, and you could tell that he knows that something's up. But I guess why he's not saying anything, I don't know.
Yeah, intentionally he went off the grid and didn't talk to anybody. So he kind of kept his distance, and it's revealed that all these Rangers and people getting murdered, Kimberly really did it.
Yeah,
as Rita as Kimberly did it.
Because Rita she is a sorceress, and that's
that makes sense. Like I never remember her shapeshifting on the show.
No, but she's a sorceress, so that's within the realm of possibility.
And they even mention it too, like Rita created him and all that stuff. So they, even if you didn't know anything about Power Rangers, like they dropped the seeds where you can understand what happened there. And then just to have her come out at the end like that is pretty fucking awesome. Like, so it did take away some of the power of the story. I think if it really was Kimberly there, but it really is a great mind fuck. I wish they made another one like
a sequel to this where it's like Tommy like barely escapes his like this fight with Rita, and he goes and he finds other people who have been Rangers before, and you could use people who have been in other seasons and stuff, like just rounding up people, or he could round up new recruits, and those could be people who were Rangers like after they were. Like that shit would be awesome.
I think it's going to be a one-off. Like
I agree.
There's a problem with that because YouTube has taken it down.
No, YouTube hasn't. Vimeo.
Yeah.
No, YouTube took it down.
Oh shit, they did?
YouTube took it down.
That's okay, bitches, because I saved it. I
went to go rewatch it before the show, and it is gone.
Wow.
Damn.
Because Saban is cracking down on him. I didn't realize YouTube had taken it down as well.
And so Saban went to YouTube and said, "Hey," and YouTube immediately takes it down, and then they'll review it. But it's probably there might be a lawsuit because this is fair use and all that kind of stuff. So this is gonna be a big thing.
Well, it's a difference with this because like with other fan things like Star Wars or Star Trek, usually they're not offensive to the brand, so to speak. So I understand, like Saban, anyone from Japan, like being a Godzilla fan, I can tell you, Toho Studios is the same way. They're very protective of their intellectual property in Japan. So Saban is the same way. But I can especially see, Saban, I see their point. Because this is a kids show, and this is an extremely violent perversion. Now we think it's awesome. Don't get us wrong, but it's an extremely violent perversion of the concept of Power Rangers, and that was JDF's problem with it. Lance.
Yeah, well, that was his problem, and I agree with them about it. But at the same time, you also have to remember that JDF is like Saban's like at this point their cash cow. Like he is the brand for them. He's their most recognizable face, so he's going to stick with the company line on this. Because like I was looking at what other Rangers were saying, like former Rangers, and so like for instance, Karen Ashley, who played Aisha, she was just like she liked it, she just hated that she wasn't in it. Steve Cardenas, who actually played Rocky, loved it. He's just like he even tweeted to James Vanderbeek. He's just like, "Thanks for portraying me. My acting's never been better." Haha. Walter Jones, who played Zach, he's just like, it was cool. It's not for kids, but he's it was cool.
Because if anything, Zach was the one like the standout in this. I think
he was. Yeah. And then Amy Jo Johnson, she's like, it's not for kids, but I thought it was awesome. She's like, it was pretty amazing. He's like, it was satisfying, but certainly not for kids. But she enjoyed it.
Well,
so she could. So
two things. I'm glad JDF didn't come back. One, because I wouldn't want to see Tommy be the same and everyone else be different.
Yeah, I agree.
That's true.
And two, that would kind of make it official.
Yeah, no joke.
And it needs to not be. So
no joke.
I'm glad he was not involved. So
and Dawson, man,
and I think badass when he flips over the tape. He's like, "Don't give that bullshit."
I know.
Because we're the only ones who can defeat Rita.
I know.
It's like you hear yourself all this bullshit.
Yeah.
We need 5 teenagers with attitude. And just the absurdities of it all. But the thing is, they're coming out with a Power Rangers reboot next year. Mm-hmm. And it was always going to suck, but now it's really going to suck because it's not this.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. And I think that's why they're mad. They're like, shit, I totally.
But if they did this, it would make so much money. Okay, tone down the violence, tone down the profanity because there's a lot of it. Okay,
and also don't have like one of your Rangers like doing coke with 2 porn stars in the background. Like
Black Ranger Zach's got 2 white women in his bed. He's living the good life, but he's just doing crack, man. That was so unnecessary. But okay, so getting back to JDF. he wants to be, might be, could be in the new movie, right?
Yes, he does.
So he can't associate with this kind of stuff, or he'll he'll get in trouble, or Power Rangers, if they just went and made like a Power Ranger episode and they made it like new and stuff, they probably wouldn't care. But the fact that they've like turned this little kid program into like a brutal rated R, if not rated X, short film, I can see their problem with infringing on their copyright. People are going to associate this now with their brand, and in theory, that could turn people off, like parents, to sharing Power Rangers with their kids.
Yeah, but at the same time, that also goes to a larger issue of just like, well, parents don't be fucking stupid. Like,
look, kids are going to see it's on the internet now. So I get why they have to take it down.
It's not on the internet.
Well, no,
it's gone.
You get your 7-year-old.
It's on Zach's computer.
They're gonna come get me. You have a 5-year-old, because 5-year-olds surf the internet now. I know, right?
They do.
What a brave new world we live in. They search Power Rangers, and the first thing they see is this.
Now, like, Mommy, what's Zach doing?
Now he's the pixie stick, son. The vanilla flavor. The Vimeo version actually had those women were nude.
Oh, okay.
So I actually saw that one. So
very cool.
I did not download the that one because it was gone like within an hour. But the YouTube version, they were clothed. That was the only difference in the YouTube and Vimeo versions, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Because I know there's been a lot of discussion, like, it's been censored, and I thought maybe they toned down the violence. No, it's just the nudity. Change.
No boobies.
Which was, unnecessary. But
it was. I don't give a shit about that.
But
I'm waiting for Zach to throw it's Morphin Town and throw his fucking helmet at someone's head. That was so badass.
Oh man!
Yeah, and then like getting shot in the helmet too. Like it just take like, oh man, that was just
like seriously. I can't, I'm super excited about this, and I think Power Rangers is some stupid bullshit. So I can only imagine how excited Lance is for this. But for real though, this opens up a whole new world of fandom if they would just embrace it, and they don't have to go as extreme as they went with this. Yeah, but I would really want the reboot to be more like this than like the original Power Rangers. Hopefully they'll see, like you said, Lance, 12 million views or something. Mm-hmm. Hopefully this will let Saban see, this is the kind of Power Rangers people want,
no, they're never going to do it.
They're not going to do that.
Not to this extreme, but you can at least make it like semi-realistic.
They're not going to do it. They're going to make a movie for kids.
Well, okay, all right, let me ask you this:
they'll make it a movie for kids, and like the darkest they'll go would be probably something like Power Rangers in space or Time Force.
Well, Time Force.
That's probably
Time Force.
Yeah, Time Force was awesome.
I did watch some of that with Lance a couple years ago on Netflix. Now, the Transformers movies are for kids, and G.I. Joe's for kids, and they're pretty serious.
Transformers was PG-13. That wasn't made for kids.
Transformers is one of the most lewd, offensive movies I've ever seen in my life.
And racist.
Transformers 2, okay? You have racist robots, you have weed jokes, you have robots humping robots, you have some kind of weird sex bot who, to kill Shia LaBeouf, right? Yep. Like, what the hell was that? Anyway.
It's Shia LaBeouf.
It's bullshit. It's what it is. So, I hope. Well, listen to me. I hope this Power Rangers movie is at least kind of like Transformers or G.I. Joe. I would never hope another movie to be like those, except for Power Rangers.
Yeah.
So, because at least it would be serious enough where it can be. We can get shades of this short film in it. Anyway, the resurgence of the Power Rangers, guys. It was such a big deal. We had to talk about it. We had to break format and talk about this breaking news. So
that shit was awesome.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Nerds Explain It All. I'm Zach.
I'm Lance.
And I'm Steven.
And we might not break the news, but we do break it down.
Power Rangers.
But anyway, at least this is some good press for Power Rangers, because at least we don't have the Power Rangers killing each other like they were a couple months ago.
Yes,
the Red Ranger from what show was the Killer Ranger in?
He was in 2 of them. He was the Red Ranger in Power Rangers Wild Force, which is arguably their worst one, and he was a bad guy in Power Ranger Samurai, which was about 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, actually, he was last I heard Ricardo Medina Jr. I'm looking it up now. I don't know this off the top of my head like Lance. He was not charged in the murder of his roommate. Huh. So it's self-defense, and
Okay, then.
you know, he just happened to self-defend himself with a sword.
Yeah.
So, anyway, some bad press for Power Rangers, but this is some good press.
Well, not if you're Saban.